Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited to have a GFP author with us today, MC Sungaila, who is one of my favorite authors. I hate to play favorites, but there it is. You just got the scoop. So I'm so honored, MC, that you reached out to me to be on a Lunch and Learn.
Yes, because Georgie, you're just the best host ever. So, and it's always fun to talk to you. So I thought it would be neat to do.
Oh, that's funny. Well, thank you so much. That's the first time that anyone's ever done that. So I made sure to let my bosses know. Before we get into all the stuff, I thought a good place to start was just to hear a little bit about your background. So you want to tell us?
Sure. So in my other non-publishing life, I am an attorney. I specialize in appeals, so I argue cases to the U.S. Supreme Court and the California and other state Supreme Courts and other courts of appeal in a range of different kinds of cases. I've even done some international human rights work and a lot of pro bono work on behalf of women and girls.
Love it.
So that's my non-publishing. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have this great career, if I might say, a successful career. So you're going down this track and everything is great and it sounds very rewarding. Why did you decide, I want to become an author?
Well, I have to say, when I was very, very young, before I decided I would become a lawyer, I first decided that I would become an author, specifically a poet. I think I was about 9 or 10. And immediately after deciding I would become a poet, I had this image in my mind of me starving in a garret. I wasn't really sure what a garret was, but I was pretty sure I didn't want to starve. So I thought, okay, this is not, you can't, if you want to write, you probably should figure out something else for yourself. This is not a full-time, make your own living gig. So I continued to write, but as it turns out, I became a writer professionally as an advocate. So as an appellate lawyer, we write briefs all the time. That's how we advocate. It's not like the trial lawyers putting a good show on in court. We largely win on the briefs, and then we do oral argument as well. But the major part is writing, being a good writer and being persuasive. And so I look at it as being a writer as a force for good in the world. So we're writing for a purpose each time we're trying to persuade and reach a particular result, whereas you don't have that same goal when you're writing a book or a poem or a short story. But I've always been interested in writing other types of things besides legal briefs. And I, in fact, took several upper level classes, both through the UCLA program and through Stanford, probably about 10 years ago, in different types of writing, short story, essay writing, creative nonfiction, with the idea that perhaps, I think at that point, that maybe this is where I should have, this would be my second career kind of thing. But I discovered along the way that I was in the right career full-time. There were a lot more people who were much more raw talent than I had in that arena, but I was much more disciplined than them because of what you have to be when you're a lawyer. So I had that, but I knew that to do that full time, I would either both need to become a little bit of a different person, because I think it's much more of a monastic life than it would be as a lawyer, even though we're in COVID right now and we're all sort of at home, and that's a little different, but otherwise it's much more external facing. And I thought I would become a little different person if I didn't have that, and I didn't like who that person was. And also I thought, well, I'll leave it to the experts, leave it to the folks who know how to do that. But I did import a lot of those principles to my legal writing. So I feel like that's one of the things I do well, is combine genres, combine different things. I find commonalities and things and combine them. So it's more of a combinatorial creativity than, coming up with something that's brand new. So so I refocused on, yep, I'm in the right place. I should be writing legal briefs and I should be winning cases and all of that. But I've always read a lot and had a lot of interest in, being an author of some type in the future. But this, my work with you and the start of publishing books was not at all related to the writing interest or even to legal. It really was something that came to me as something that felt like it should come out into the universe. It would be positive, and I have no clue why or how I was going to do it until I found you guys to help me. But given all the stuff that was going on in the world and the challenges we've had the last few years, I had always found that my mother had kind of been a guidepost for me and sending me notes and every day just to kind of keep me going in a very tough career. And I thought, well, maybe this would be helpful to other people who don't have mothers or don't have mothers who do this for them. And there's a lot of new lawyers every year who struggle. And I thought, well, maybe especially the women lawyers would benefit from having that kind of thing. And so I started compiling a lot of the notes that she had sent me. And I'm like, yeah, there's enough for a book. And I'm a big fan of gift books and design and things like that as well. And so I thought, well, this would be cool in a design heavy kind of gift book. And so that's how it came about. It really wasn't directly linked to being a writer. It's probably like the least substantive thing I've ever written in my life, but it's just a positive force for good in the world. And can I tell the story about how I found you guys? Oh my gosh, it's a really good one. Okay, so I have this image. I had all these different books laid out of things that I like this design, I like that design. This is kind of the vibe I want for this book. And it became very clear that I certainly could not do it because I have a good eye once I have a few options, but I can't create it to begin with. So I started looking around saying, well, how can I make this happen? And I did not want to give any rights of my mother's letters to any publisher. So I was like, it's not going to be a publishing house, which I've worked with on other books. But I thought for this project, it did not make sense. So I started looking around for book designs that looked like, not like what we ended up doing, but something that gave me the feel that this place would have an understanding of what I was trying to do. And I found one of your books on Amazon, and I looked at the design and I said, wow, I think this is the place. And so I looked at the inside. This is Girl Friday. So I go over there and I reached out to you, and one of the team, the first thing she said to me when I told her about the book was she said, oh, we've done a book similar to that. And she told me exactly the book that I had found on Amazon. And so I was like, it's meant to be. So that's how it happened. Even though both of us agreed it isn't exactly anywhere near the exact design that we did, but it ended up doing, but it was the feeling and that she understood what I was trying to do.
Yeah. And yeah, that is a gorgeous book. That's the weirdest way I think that anyone has found us. It's so bizarre. Like, it's so like, leave it up to the fates of the world. It's so strange, but I do love it. And I'm so glad it led you to us. So can you tell people watching what your books are about? Because now you have multiple. So you came to us with the one that you kind of alluded to about advice from your mom. So let's hear about that one.
Yeah, so my mom would send me these letters on special stationery that said mother's thoughts for the day, and then she would also, now she texts me different thoughts every morning, and so I kind of compiled like the best thoughts that really put an arc to our relationship as well into the first book. And then the second book is more of her notes, but they're more general. I would say the first one is more like exemplifies the whole mother-daughter relationship overall. And then the second one is more just positive things that are more general that people would like to see if they're having a rough day, but it doesn't like chronicle the whole relationship in the same way. So there's two books now. And the first book, I thought there was only going to be one book, but I'll tell you, because since I'm a lawyer, I have to tell you the funny way this happened. So I have my trademark and copyright lawyer, and she says, well, I can't trademark the title of your book unless it's a series. And I said, okay, it's going to be a series.
I did not know that. I didn't know that. Why? Why is that a thing? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you can't you can't take something short like that, like a title, unless unless it's a series.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So
So
being the
that's how
lawyer that I am, I said, okay, there'll be a second book.
I didn't know that. And tell me,
Yeah.
because the book is so designy, and I'll put a link to it here so people can see it. And I
Yep.
am not in the office,
Yep.
as none of us are.
Whoop.
There it is. Oh, I was gonna
Here's
say I don't
one.
have it. Yeah,
Here's one.
yeah, it's so great.
And then here's the second one. So that's the covers, but I think it's the interior, really.
Yeah, open it up and show it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little
Yeah, it's the interior.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then each one has different color schemes, so it's really beautiful. You guys did a great job.
Well, the design is so beautiful, and the colors are so great, and I love how the two books, like, they're very complimentary of each other. So I have a little bit of insider knowledge, but tell me, regarding those two books, what was one of your most, like, exciting moments? Was it like opening the box and you see it, or was there something else that?
I think there were two things that were most meaningful to me from the first book in particular. The first thing was just the response that people had to it. I really didn't know exactly who the audience might be, like who would appreciate this. I knew that somebody like me would, you know, a professional woman who maybe needs a little pick-me-up during the day, and some atta girls and things to just open to look at during the day to kind of keep you going. And I definitely heard that. But the thing I didn't expect was the relationship part. So the most significant comments I would get would be from mothers of young children who said, we read the book to our daughter every night. You know, they choose some pages they want to read, or it's inspired me to send notes to my own daughter, or how do I do something like this? Because it's, you know, it's hard to keep that up, you know, over 25 years or whatever. And so it's inspired people to do that for their own families, and then to have connections between the generations through the book itself. And that's not something that I really envisioned.
Yeah,
so that's the most, so that's like the most immediate thing. And then the second thing was the first book getting the IPPY medal in the gift book category. Because as you could tell from the story of how I came to this, unlike everything else in my life, I did not have a particular plan for any of this. So the fact that it turned out being, oh, not only do regular people like this, but, you know, it has this sort of stamp of approval from a publishing organization, and I did not expect that.
Yeah, that was amazing. And you know what, I was thinking of two completely different things for UMC.
Okay, Georgie.
That were successes was that your website won the award for website design, which was gorgeous. Very much matches the feel of the book. That's what I loved about it. And then it like kind of had the sliders, which was like the flipping.
Right.
So that I was going to say that I thought you were going to say about the website. And then I feel like you called me or sent me an email and you were like, oh, it just got picked up by something big, like a big distributor.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yes. It was, I can't believe I forgot that. So it's being sold by Target and Walmart and Waterstones in the UK, and a bookseller in Australia and Germany as well. There's a German bookseller that had it. I honestly don't know. That didn't happen immediately. It happened about 8 months after the book came out, like just before the Christmas season. And it just popped up, and I was like, what is it doing in Target? How did that happen? Oh, because I reached out to you guys. I'm like, what did you do? You're like, nothing to our knowledge.
Oh my God, I should have totally taken that. Like, yeah, I got you. Like, I totally did it. No, I didn't do it. And in fact, just to be clear for the people, the other author that I spoke to in an author call like this, was someone that I had developed a full marketing strategy. In your case, we did not. Like, we kind of did things backwards. The first time I met you was for the website development. And so then we went through that. And then you came to me for other ideas, but we didn't ever do like the traditional marketing strategy. So when you were talking about like who was my target demographic, like normally I'd say, well, here they are, here's the list and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't have that for you. So that was just kind of interesting that despite that, not having that, that your book was so successful. So another question that I'd love to hear what your answer is like, what's something that you wish that you knew at the beginning? Because it's all fun and shiny, right? You're going to publish these books. It's so great. What do you wish you knew that maybe wasn't awesome, that you wish you would have known at the beginning?
Well, I guess there's, well, I'll say one thing and then one sort of piece of advice, kind of just in terms of your psychic well-being. So the first thing that I knew but didn't really realize was that that the production and the publication of the book is really just like one small part of the whole thing. That had I really known and thought about it the first time, I kind of tripped into these things, but I would have had it more planned out. Like, okay, we're going to launch the book on this day, and then, you know, so then 6 months in advance, we're going to do this to kind of get the word out and all of those things. And I hadn't fully appreciated that producing the book is about 1/3 of the process if you really want to get the book out into the world. And I had done some things just kind of randomly. So I had put some ads in various magazines for the first book, just like my alumni. Stanford has a issue where they feature alumni books. So I put it in there. And then some of the independent, like the IBPA was,
right,
and Publishers Weekly. So I put some ads in those for the indie books. I put something in the Ingram catalog. I just tried different things to see what happened. I rather suspect that the store purchases were from the Ingram catalog that went out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's totally untraceable. But it does make sense because that catalog came out later, and then the purchases, you know, they came later. Yeah. So, but if I thought about it, I would have had a more planned approach, which we did do with the second book a little bit more. But I would say, well, that was certainly more planned, and we had a social media campaign, and we actually dug into the you know, demographics of who might be interested in the book, which, like you said, was not too surprising, kind of figured it out. But I think if you, it was nice to have more control over how you're releasing, you know, your little baby into the world. But I honestly don't know that it really had a major effect on sales, on anything. I really don't have any feeling that it moved the needle in that regard. In my case, it's like the other random stuff that I did for the first book was probably just as effective as the second one, except that I have like cool little design things that I can post on social media now. And my friends go, "Oh, did you know you have an Instagram account?" I'm like, "Yes." But yeah, so in my case, I don't really know. But I think that this particular book, especially the first book, is just a serendipity book in itself. It came into the world as serendipitous. It was promoted serendipitously, and still, you know, all this stuff happened. So it kind of was meant to be, I think. So if you think you're done, which it's a lot of work to do to get the book out into the world, you are far from done. And then the second thing is, if you think you're going to make enough to pay your mortgage off of this book, you're not. That's generally not what happens. But, you know, is it a nice connection with people? Yes, you know, it's kind of cool to share that with the world. And in my case, I meant for it to be a positive thing. And if I positively affect, just 10 families in the world, that would be great. If it was more, that would be even better. So I didn't do it to make money, but it really is not the way to make money in itself.
Well, no, and especially your book, because of the color that it has. I mean, you had the hardcover and the soft cover. I, of course, prefer the hardcover because I think it looks just more of like a gifty thing. But it's expensive to print that, as you know.
Yeah.
And so that affects your royalty. And that's something that I almost feel like, I was just saying the other day to someone that I work with, like, we should tell people at the beginning, like, what are you thinking? Okay, so here's the royalty. It's gonna be like 26 cents, which a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like that's horrible. But that's the way it goes. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing. So what I love about your journey that you did, so not only was it, one and done, like you told us the whole story, which I love that you had to make a series, you kind of created a publishing imprint, and now you have the new book that's going to come out. So can you talk a little bit about what it was like to create like a publishing house, so to speak, and then the new quote book that's coming out?
Yeah, so I feel like this this particular series of the Mother's Thoughts for the Day is really, I just let it grow how it wants to grow, and I listen to what people say. So, the feedback that I got from people about, gee, we wish we could do something like that. We wish it could be as pretty as these books. We're not very creative. We don't know how to do that. That led to, upcoming in the spring, we're going to do a guided journal for people to be able to do their notes to their daughter, and to do a similar kind of thing across generations in those families. So that grew from the comments that I received, not from any of the data we pulled or anything like that, just anecdotal things of how people viewed the book. And I thought it would be helpful because that's what people were interested in. So that's organic. And then, right, the most immediate next book that we have coming out is the Quotes on Character book. And I think it came from the same kind of feeling, like, whereas these books are from my mom's notes to me, which are really very sort of purpose-centered, life-based, and very, there's some good morals in there too, good credos to follow. But I do my own my own quote collector, good quotes and things like that inspire me. And so I thought, well, I have my own collection of those. And I think that is important right now in the world, again, to remind people about sort of the key pillars of good character, and maybe, instill some positivity that way as well. So one is my mom's notes to me, one set is my mom's notes to me, and it's organic movement in the world. And then this other book is really sort of my notes to myself in terms of quotes that have gotten me through the day, or organized around the principles of character.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting. And is this fun for you? Like, do you love like creating the things? Does it feel like work? Like, what's the attitude that you have?
No, it's kind of a break. It's a break from everything else that I do, because what I'm writing, like 50 and 100-page really dense legal briefs and the very complex issues, and to do more bite-sized things like this, it's kind of relaxing in a weird way.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's so great working with you. I know everyone at Girl Friday loves working with you. You're such a hustler, I call it. You have such great ideas that for marketing the book and the new book. So I'm just so excited. So just congratulations on all your success, MC. We're so glad to be a part of your journey. And if you haven't had a chance to check out MC's books, I mean, obviously just a beautiful Mother's Day gift, but it does inspire you to do your own notes to your children, or even to like a sister or something like that. You don't necessarily have to have a child. I think it could be a sister or a friend or something like that. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Georgie.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.